Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Ursula Bailey and today's video is all about astral sex. Okay, where do I start? Astral sex is not something I really set the intention toward myself personally, but regardless, it's something that I do have experience with, and it's kind of funny because a lot of people have this misconception that when you astral travel you can just do whatever you want. It's not always the case sometimes. In my experience with astral travel, especially in the beginning, we experience a lot of lessons and challenges. For me, the whole astral sex thing came up pretty early in my astral projection journey. So the way I experienced it is I would leave my body and I would be hanging out doing whatever for say maybe 5 minutes at the most, when I'd be hit with this overwhelming sexual urge, this overwhelming sexual desire. And when that hits you, there's no escaping it. So think the most turned on you've ever been, and you pretty much have to do something about it right now. I would have these experiences where I would be somewhere in the astral plane and I would see another being, and straight away I would be like, I have to act on this intense sexual urge, and we would have astral sex. Other than that intense feeling of desire, that's kind of where the similarities stopped between astral sex and physical sex. When you have astral sex, it's more of a merging, and what I mean by that is you will see this being and you're feeling very attracted to them, and as you're kind of focusing on them, it's like you're zooming in. So you zoom right into this other being and suddenly you can't get any closer, so you start absorbing each other. Really weird sensation, but nothing like physical sex. This merging is more like an energetic exchange. You're kind of downloading and uploading at the same time, and it's unconditional love and healing and acceptance and understanding. And as you're having that kind of energetic climax, what would happen for me is I would open my eyes and I'd be back in my bed. So this happened, and the first time I was like, wow, that was so amazing, what a beautiful experience. But then the next time I astral projected, it happened again and again and again and again. I got to the point where I could not have an astral projection experience without having that overwhelming sexual desire. So it got to the point where I couldn't actually get past it, and these beings who I have had astral sex with have always come through in humanoid form, but sometimes I wouldn't even be sexually attracted to them. That sexual urge was just so powerful that I actually felt like I didn't have control, and you never want that. You know, you never want to feel like you don't actually have control of your actions. I started to get to the point where I was getting really frustrated, and I was kind of like, I don't want to spend my astral experiences just having astral sex every time and then opening my eyes and it's over. I felt like it was a waste of my experience. I wanted to go further. There were things that I wanted to do. I had a whole list. And that's kind of when I realized that this whole astral sex thing was a test. I always say spiritual awakening is a gift, but spiritual development is a choice. And for me, that's just so true, and it always has been. I was someone who was lucky enough to astral project the first time I ever attempted it, but that doesn't mean that my whole journey has been without challenges. And this was one of the big challenges that I had, where I went for a while just getting stuck in these experiences where I was just constantly having this overwhelming sexual urge, and I could not for the life of me control it. What this meant was looking into the experience and thinking, what's happening here, kind of breaking it all down and thinking to myself, what is this experience trying to teach me? As I'm kind of reviewing what I'm kind of experiencing with astral sex, I just keep going back to this merging and this kind of energetic exchange. And what I realized was that this experience was actually teaching me about merging in general. It wasn't just non-physical merging, it was physical merging as well. And I think in the physical reality, we experience it on a much more subtle level. So you don't actually realize that you are merging with people when you have sexual intercourse with them. The other thing this experience was trying to teach me was how to override our animalistic desires, which come down to ego, which come down to the human experience. So we really need to shed that and have the awareness that those animalistic desires are not who we really are. And I think it also comes down to a little bit of mind over matter as well. So you know, you think about the ego being responsible for all things survival. Any physical desire that we have based on our own survival, sometimes those desires can override who we truly are, and they can control us. In order for me to get past sexual urge in the astral, I really had to focus my energy on intention setting. By that time, I had really come to the understanding of what merging really was, and I had also made that solid intention that I wanted to continue progressing. So this goes back to what I said about spiritual awakening being a gift, but spiritual development being a choice. I really had to make that choice that I wanted to continue with this whole consciousness exploration journey, and I didn't want to be stuck in this loop of astral sex, which I know other people do. Some people spend a long time just having astral sex before they're like, ugh, there's got to be more to it than this. And I didn't want that to be me. You don't actually have to have sex to merge, and I find now if I want to merge with someone in the astral, then I don't actually get that overwhelming sexual desire. Merging does happen in both the non-physical reality and the physical reality. However, when you merge in the physical, it's a lot more subtle, and usually there is a level of merging that happens with sexual intercourse. So they definitely are connected. It's just not required. You don't need sexual intercourse to merge. However, in the physical reality, that's kind of one of the most common ways that we experience this. And yeah, it's a very subtle feeling unless you have your psychic centers open during sex, which can happen spontaneously. So if you've ever had sex and afterwards you almost feel like you're on the verge of tears, but it's not because you're upset or you're disappointed or anything, it's just very overwhelming. So the energy exchange is very overwhelming. Then that's a sign that your psychic centers have opened during sex and you're really feeling the effects from the merge. I know there was something that went around about absorbing energies during sex and how this can be a toxic thing and you need to be careful who you have sex with, blah blah blah. This is not quite what I'm talking about, and this is not what merging is at all. For example, it's not like when you merge with someone that you're going to absorb your ex's toxic energy or something like that. Because basically the outward display of somebody's personality is all to do with ego conditioning. It doesn't actually exist. So when you're merging with someone through sex, you're not kind of absorbing their ego-built conditioning. No, that's not what it is. You are having an exchange of unconditional love and healing and forgiveness and acceptance. And you're basically channeling source energy directly through one another's vessel. It doesn't matter whether it's an ex or a casual fling or a long-term relationship. You are always able to access this kind of connection with source through one another's energy, and this connection to each other, and whatever your ego-built false conditioning has been, it all comes down to the fact that we are all one and we are all connected to source. So what if you want to have astral sex just for the experience of sexual gratification? Yes, that's possible. You can do that. Any sensation you feel within the physical is available to you in the astral. All you need to do is send out the request that you would like to have a sexual encounter, and you'll either be transported towards a thought form being that you can play that desire out with. Otherwise, you'll be transported towards another being who shares the same desire, and you'll be operating on around a similar wavelength. like attracts like. It's just about setting that intention that you want to experience that kind of sexual gratification. It's really important not to think about your physical body when you do this, because otherwise you're just going to snap straight back. The other thing just to be aware of, and I guess maybe a word of caution, is that you could get stuck in the same kind of loop that I did, where you're just constantly going into the astral and becoming overwhelmed by sexual desire, and it is really difficult to get out of that, especially if you're someone who wants to go further with your spiritual development. But by all means, go ahead, give it a go, have fun with it, and see what you can learn from the experience. If you haven't already, please click the subscribe button and also the notification bell, and that way you will be notified as soon as I upload new content. Feel free to like and comment on this video, and follow me on Instagram. I will leave my Instagram handle in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching. I love and appreciate you so much, and we'll talk again soon.